Hey friends, welcome to Storytime with Miss Norton. Today's story is called Dance at Grandpa's. And today we're going to go on another adventure with Laura and her family. Are you ready to get started? Excellent. Now, in today's story, I want you to listen for some key details, some things that happened. I also want you to pretend to be Laura. So I want you to pretend to be Laura and think about how would you be feeling if you were Laura. So let's think back to a book that we've read when Laura did chores with her mom. And she really loved making bread on Saturday. How would you feel if you were Laura that Saturday making bread? Good. I might say I was excited because I got to make bread with my mom. So again, listen for how Laura might be feeling and listen for some of those key details, some things that happened. All right. Does anybody have any I wonders before we begin? Remember, an I wonder is any question that you might have about the story just by looking at the front cover. All right, let's get started. Once upon a time, a little girl named Laura lived in the big woods of Wisconsin in a little house made of logs. She lived there with her pa, her ma, her big sister Mary, her baby sister Carrie, and their good old bulldog Jack. One winter morning, everyone got up early for there was going to be a big party at Grandpa's house. While Laura and Mary ate their breakfast, Pa packed his fiddle carefully in its box and put it in the big sled waiting by the gate. The air was frosty cold, but Laura, Mary, Carrie, and Ma were tucked in snug and warm under robes in the sled. The horses pranced and the sleigh bells rang merrily, and they went off through the big woods to Grandpa's house. Oh, friends, how do you think Laura's feeling right now? Think about it, breathe it, release it. Great. It did not seem long before they were sweeping into the clearing at Grandpa's house. Grandma stood at the door smiling and calling them to come in. Laura loved Grandma's big house. It was fun to run from the fireplace at one end of the big room all the way to Grandma's soft feather bed on the other side. The whole house smelled good. There were sweet and spicy smells coming from the kitchen and the smell of hickory logs burning with bright, clear flames in the fireplace. Before long, it was time to get ready for the party. Laura watched while Ma and the aunts made themselves pretty. They combed their long hair and put on their best dresses. Laura thought Ma was the most beautiful of all in her green ruffled dress. Soon, people began to come to the party. They came on foot through the woods with their lanterns, and they came in sleds and wagons. Sleigh bells were jingling all the time. The big room was filled with tall boots and swishing skirts, and there were ever so many babies lying in rows on Grandma's feather bed. Laura thought baby Carrie was the prettiest. Then Pa took out his fiddle and began to play. All the skirts began to swirl and all the boots began to stamp. "Swing your partners," Pa called. Laura watched Ma's skirt swaying and her dark head bowing and thought she was the loveliest dancer in the world. Look at Laura's face, friends. How do you think she's feeling? Soon it was time for dinner. The long table was loaded with pumpkin pies, dried berry pies, and cookies. There was cold boiled pork and salt rising bread. How sour the pickles were! They all ate until they could eat no more. Look at Laura's face. The fiddling and dancing went on and on until it was time for Laura and the other children to go to bed. Now, friends, I bet you have a connection with how Laura's probably feeling right now. You're having fun, and then your families tell you it's time for bed. When Laura woke up, it was morning. There were pancakes and maple syrup for breakfast, and then Pa brought the horses and sled to the door. Pa tucked Laura and Mary and Carrie and Ma into the sled. Grandma and Grandpa stood calling, "Goodbye, goodbye," as they rode away into the big woods going home. What a wonderful party it had been. And that is the end of our adventure today. Now, before we began, I asked you to think about some key details and about how Laura might be feeling. So today you're going to write a journal entry pretending to be Laura. Yes, that means you get to say, "I was feeling," because you're Laura. So your journal entry should look something like this. You're going to start with "Dear Journal," and then you're going to tell me how you were feeling. I felt blank. This is a feeling that you have if you were Laura in the story, but don't forget to write the word because. Why were you feeling that way? And then you're going to give me some of those key details, some things that Laura did in order. First, I, next, I. You can put then, or you can put then and last if you have more than two things that she did. So you're also going to end your letter with "Love, Laura," because you are pretending to be Laura. All right, friends, I am excited to read your writing today. Bye.